as I was sitting with white classmates that I had just met in my first couple classes, they said, for lunch, you can sit with us, but you have to make a decision if you're going to
Oof.
sit with us or if you're going to sit with them. And I was like, whoa, right? I had
Yeah.
never been at that crossroads or had that juxtaposition put in front of me so clearly. And as far as a challenge, since we're getting, so raw so quick, right?
Yes.
I, as I ate in the bathroom, like not in the stall, but like there was a windowsill, and I
Yeah.
just took my tray there because I was like, I'm supposed to decide for the next 3 years of my high school career who I
Jeez.
sit with, who I'm not allowed to sit with.
Welcome to the living room. Leave the armor at the door. We'll talk it out till it's simple, till it's you again for sure. Life, leadership, money, and the names you outgrow. We make space for the woman coming through. Living room wisdom, where your story is your glory.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Living Room Wisdom, where your story is your glory. Man, I am so thrilled and honored to have our guest here today. This is Melissa Mueller Douglas, and Melissa is the founder of Chocolate Mindfulness. That's sexy within itself, right? And could have all kinds of meanings, but we'll get into it. She's also a licensed master social worker and the founder of My Retreat. So, welcome, Melissa. I'm so glad we were finally able to connect and do this.
Such an honor to be here. Thank you.
Yes, welcome into the space. Now, Melissa's in New York, so she's got her yummy, cozy velvet. And for those who know me, I'm very much like a um, sensual material. Like, I'm loving this right now. And I wish we were in the same space so I could hug you and rub on your yummy blue velvet. So, I think as we open up here, I'd love for you to share, Melissa, not about like what you do, but who you are, because I think our light attracted to each other, and I see so much in you that I'd love to share with our listeners.
That question alone is the reason why I said yes to talking with you on this podcast, right? Because I am not interested in sharing what my LinkedIn says about me. Although the stories, of course, they're great stories, right?
Yeah.
I want to connect with people based on who they are, and what they do comes later or sometimes not at all. So for me, I am a granddaughter, a daughter, and a mother of two kids. I paused there because my final grandmother living passed in November at
Oh,
100 years old. So it's the first time that I'm saying aloud that I'm a granddaughter, which I still am, but of an ancestor now,
hmm.
right? 100 years old, and someone who absolutely has shaped the path for me, uh, and who I pull values from every single day.
Wow, I love that. I do have a question then, following up on that. How far into your lineage have you, like, do you have awareness or a relationship with?
That's my mom's forte. So we
Okay.
have done the mouth swabs for her. I
Yes.
bought it. I was going to do it, but I'm just not on board yet. So
Okay.
I have the
Oh,
path to make it happen. But as far as how far back, we know 5 generations back.
wow.
Yeah, and that's because of oral history and some photographs, and just really good intention around making sure that those stories were always shared. I mean, down to who our almost 200-year-old pump organ belonged to and the
Wow.
journey that it took, right? So as a kid, I felt like this annual talk that my mom has with me about this antique came from here, and this one, I used to sit on with my, so and so. It felt repetitive at the time, but
Mhm.
as an adult, I am so appreciative of how much time and care and effort was taken into preserving some of those relics, and also
Yes.
having them in spaces where we can actually use them, right? They're not covered up and hidden somewhere in an attic. We get to see them every day and sit on and hold things that our ancestors held and sat on.
That's beautiful. And I ask that question because I know that there are so many cultures, mine included, African American, that we don't have that connection or sometimes even the awareness of like our history beyond one or two generations. And so with that said, I'd love to find out because you're kind of indescript. What is your culture, my love?
Well, I love the fact that in our household with my husband, we get to create our own family culture.
Yes.
Beyond that, my dad is Caymanian, so
Mm.
black, and my mom is white. She's from
Ah,
Wisconsin. So
love
we
that.
like cheese.
He
So
likes cheese.
Never had cheese curds, try them out. So yeah, that's how I am melanated, right?
Yes.
And I actually didn't have citizenship for Grand Cayman until last year, which was
Yeah.
a full circle moment. I always knew my heritage on that side, and I've been connected with my dad, but I wasn't formally recognized by the government until I said, this is my grandmother, this is my grandfather, and uh, I did the mouse swab for that one with
Wow.
a big company.
That's so interesting. We don't really think about we're born into our families and we are what they say we are in essence. But as a mixed race individual, it's quite interesting to me. I've always been, kind of like accused of being mixed race. I'm like, well, both my parents are black. I don't know how that works, but anyhow, but as an actual mixed race individual, there's actually an element of I don't want to say you get to choose because you don't get to choose, but you kind of do get to choose, or people choose for you, and or you must fight for the part to reclaim the parts of yourself that may not have been recognized or embraced. So that was a lot in a short statement, but I'd love to just hear what comes up for you around that.
Yeah, well, certainly, who are you is
Yeah,
a question
yeah,
that
that's quite loaded for all of us, but yeah, specifically mixed race. Yeah.
is certainly a question that I was asking myself for some time, as a youth and teenager, and also where do you belong, right?
Yeah.
Where do I belong? And so that is absolutely something that shaped me in becoming a social worker and doing the work that I do, right, with executive women. But it was really important for me to work through and process
Yeah.
and navigate. What came up for me was remembering being in high school, first day of a new high school, and I was approached by uh, some girls from the black table, right? Air quotes,
Right.
um, and was told, like, as I was sitting with white classmates that I had just met in my first couple classes, they said, for lunch, you can sit with us, but you have to make a decision if you're going to
Oof.
sit with us or if you're going to sit with them. And I was like, whoa, right? I had
Yeah.
never been at that crossroads or had that juxtaposition put in front of me so clearly. And as far as a challenge, since we're getting, so raw so quick, right?
Yes.
I, as as a Muslim now, this is not something that I do or am supposed to do, but I ate in the bathroom, like not in the stall, but like there was a windowsill, and I
Yeah.
just took my tray there because I was like, I'm supposed to decide for the next 3 years of my high school career who I
Jeez.
sit with, who I'm not allowed to sit with. And even just seeing that dichotomy of you look to the left, this is where the Black students were sitting, you look to the right. And that's something that I've kept with me, something that I make sure that I am advocating around with our kids when they're in school. And then, of course, open to having those juicy conversations that go deep, eh, eh, years and years back, and then sometimes uh, make an impact on the decisions that I make moving forward.
Wow. Yeah, I feel all of that. I can feel it. I've experienced it, even not being a mixed race woman. Um, I call myself in a lot of ways a chameleon because there are rooms, and it's a privilege, and I don't want to say curse, but it's a privilege. It works for us and it works against us as well. Being able to walk into any room and adapt or be embraced. Um, but there's a heartbreak that comes with that, right? Because you get to see and witness maybe perspectives or experiences that maybe other people don't get to experience. And so I would love to learn, obviously, as we grow and we evolve as people, we learn coping mechanisms, but then we also kind of grow into ourselves. And I would love to hear from you kind of what that journey from I'm just going to isolate, I'm not picking sides, to the fullness of who you are now and the way you like show up and support others and help integrate spaces. I would love to just hear a little bit about, and obviously it's a loaded question as well, but just hear a little bit about that journey. If you can maybe jump time, you know?
That'll be fun. So, fast forward to when I was in a role as a social worker at a major university, I got an accidental email. Or I thought it was actually. So, it came in my inbox. I was a therapist. I had just started my business, but nobody there knew that I had started. This was about 8 years ago now. And it said, come for this Designing Your Life book club, and it's for leaders, women leaders in the university. So I wasn't a leader in my role there, but it came to my inbox. And so I spoke with my supervisor. I said, I'm a boss outside of here. I'm a therapist inside of here, but I got the invitation and I want it to be my lunch hour so I can attend. And he, I had built a good relationship with him. He's was my one and only Black supervisor that I've ever had. I don't know what role that did or didn't play, but he said, go for it. And
Sure.
so I went. I sat at the table. It was a big, like, conference room, boardroom looking table, and everybody went around like, I'm the head of this department, I'm the VP of, right, and around and around. And I said, I'm the CEO of Chocolate Mindfulness, and I work here as a therapist. Now, what were they going to do? Show
Sure.
me the door, right? So I say all of that to say that what over time I learned and grew into was wherever I am, I belong.
Yes.
And that if you get invited to a table, you go and check it out and see if it's for you. And if you don't get invited to the table, you go and check it out and see if it's for you. So that was one example of a time where I made that decision, right?
Hmm.
That I belonged and that it was a serendipitous email. Now, I'll fast forward to just 2 years ago. I was at a big supplier diversity summit because in my company, I'm an MWBE and WOSB certified. And a woman came up to me and she was saying, it's so good to see you. It's been a long time, because I had left that role. And she was one of the women at the table who organized that gathering of leaders. And so I shared with her, I never had a chance to tell you that I got that email by mistake. And, I shared the same story that I shared with you. And she said, no, I sent you that email and I sent it intentionally.
Mm.
And that to me was such a cool full circle moment that she had seen me, she had seen, who I am and who I was becoming and wanted me to be there. Didn't give a description like, I know you aren't in a leadership role here, but she just said, come.
Yeah.
And it was an incredible, incredible experience. And since then, I went through a program at Stanford and got a certificate in, design uh, designing your life because it was that impactful.
That's amazing. So would you say then that that's kind of was the catalyst for who you are and what you're doing today, even though you had already established chocolate mindfulness? First off, we're talking about chocolate mindfulness. So give a little insight into what chocolate mindfulness is, but then also tell us how that experience maybe shaped or informed your direction.
That experience was absolutely one dot, right, on the
Ah,
path. So I
mhm.
wouldn't say it was the moment by any means, but it was one of the ones that shaped who I am today. Chocolate mindfulness. When you say chocolate, people smile.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's true.
so chocolate is the carrot, the the tangible reward for wellness, practicing mindfulness. So in social work, we were taught, I went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I was taught to help people identify a habit that they already have so that they can associate it with a new habit that they want to have for their overall health and well-being. Let's say that's taking a life-saving medication in the morning, right? They're not used to that routine. So when we ask them about their morning and they say every single morning, I have a cup of coffee, then we say, when you have your coffee, then you take your medicine. And the compliance, right, and the likelihood of them actually taking the medicine, it's much faster and much more sustainable because they've paired it with something, right?
Oh, wow.
Habit stacking. So, chocolate mindfulness is all about habit stacking, where there are so many people, maybe someone who's listening right now who feels like they know meditation is good for them. They feel like they want to be mindful, but they don't know where to start, or they don't feel like they have the focus or the expertise. And so, when I say if you can pause and do something for your well being, like a body scan or write down one word that you're grateful for, then gift yourself a small piece of chocolate. And when I say small, we are not talking a king size bar, right? A small
Don't use
piece.
it as an excuse to binge on chocolate. Why not? Well, I'm having chocolate. Why not have the wine? Well,
So you pick that one small piece of chocolate and
right.
reward, because it anchors you with the aroma. It'll remind you with the flavor the next time you eat that chocolate. There's an association of, oh yeah, but I didn't do, a visualization practice. And just that 1 or 2 minutes of a
Yeah,
pause a day can truly add up and start to become part of your identity. And mindfulness and meditation pair into your life and just belong.
I love that. And you know what's funny is, or not funny. I don't know why I say it's funny. Everything's funny to me, but I would say what's interesting and unique about what you've done is that normally when you think of meditation, you think of maybe a tea ceremony or something like that, or essential oils pair with it, or a candle pairs with it, or incense pair with meditation. I feel like you've really tapped into something unique with the chocolate.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And so I just want to honor you for that and presence that. I would also love to know, how did your chocolate mindfulness practice business then evolve to my retreat?
Mm.
Tell us about that.
They went hand in hand. So they started both at the same time.
Ah,
Uh,
okay.
Initially, something that I very rarely share is my husband. His name is Yakub. So I called it my retreat because the idea was the M is for Melissa and the Y is for Yakub, and that we would lead these chocolate mindfulness sessions together.
Okay.
That has happened a handful of times, and I keep getting emails about, you're bringing executive women to the Cayman Islands. What about bringing couples, right? So
Yes.
I'm listening, I'm hearing, and compiling requests. But that's how it got started. Was I was doing something for myself and for my family
Uh,
to uh, be able to sustain. Alhamdulillah, we've been married now for 15 years, right? So
you don't even,
things,
you look 15. How is that even possible?
things are certainly working, right? Uh, and so I made sure to bring those practices into my own life and then share those with my community. And initially, I was doing that with one-on-one therapy clients, but I
Mhm.
saw the benefit that mindfulness had, and I really wanted to impact a larger group of people. And so far, the biggest group was 945, which I anticipate
Wowza.
I will surpass this year based on all
Nice.
of the the stops that we have across the US with chocolate mindfulness this year.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. Love that. And I love that it stemmed from your relationship as well. And whether or not, the vision continued with the both of you doing it, we just have to be willing to take the shifts and the turns and the pivots. And eventually, y'all will probably come back together and be known for the couples mindful retreats. I love it. And so I did have another question. First off, pause to acknowledge that I didn't realize we both had on the same color blue.
Oh, I did.
That
Absolutely. We were in person. I
why are,
know.
why are we so connected? And even like your hijab
Yeah.
kind of resembles, like, I don't know, we're just totally vibing right now. This is amazing. But I wanted to find out, speaking of your hijab, were you born into the Muslim religion or did you choose that?
I absolutely chose Islam for myself, and I chose
Beautiful.
Islam before I was even married. And I'm
Mm,
the first Muslim in my family, but I grew up Unitarian, which,
yeah.
if you're familiar or not, there were people from many different faiths that would all come
Mhm.
together and, you know, celebrate the glories and mysteries of life. And I do believe that that helped. My grandmother was Unitarian, the one who passed at 100, Grandma Jean. I love you. So so yes, that's how I started, but I found that Islam was the right path for me, and being able to wear the hijab, which is, a scarf in itself,
Yeah.
uh, but sometimes I've bought them, from name brand stores that we all know, right?
Yeah.
And shop at. So what I found was being able to be recognized
Mm,
because I cover from head to toe, is so liberating, so cool to have that association of an identity where people just come to you and say, Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings be upon you, and
yeah.
conversations and relationships flow from
Yeah.
there.
I feel like it's beautiful. I'm always in awe and admiration of Islamic
Mhm.
culture. And I just think that the women are so stunning. And, it's very counterintuitive for our culture, like you said, to be covered head to toe. And, in our culture, it would be like, well, what are you trying to hide? Or what are you ashamed of? But in reality, it's preservation, it's sacred, you know, and I'm just saying this, I don't even know if this to be true, but this is how it lands for me is like I preserve my magic and my body and my hair and all of the parts of me for those who are not worthy, but worthy of I mean, that's how it feels. It's a very regal, it's a presence, it's a mainly a sacredness that I feel from all Islamic people and just coming in contact. You all have such a grounding and an energy and a peace that I adore. And at the same time, vibes. I have an Islamic girlfriend that is like her hijabs are always designer and she's just like the tea all the time.
And I appreciate your description and your vantage point. When I look in the mirror, it's an instant reminder, right? So
Yeah,
if I am walking by a big window and I just see myself covered, it
yeah,
reminds me, it's like a trigger to remember, oh yeah, it's almost time for one of those five prayers, right? Or
yes,
oh yes, part of covering is that I'm not backbiting. I'm not talking about people behind their back. I'm not,
love it.
cursing. I'm not, and these are all things, those aren't the pillars of Islam. So it's not like they're the sunnah or what's, recommended and best practices. Uh, but it helps when I think about who I am and how I
Yeah,
want to show up in the world to have that tangible reminder. For
yeah,
some, it's connected to a fragrance, right? For some people, not necessarily Muslims in general, but it- you just have all of your senses to explore. And for me, the sight of seeing even myself in hijab is a reminder of each day what I'm waking up with the intention of doing
yeah.
and how I want to be.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful trigger for living your values. And that's one thing that I not only believe, but I preach and I embody is living your values always, right? And so anything that keeps you in integrity of that is stunning and beautiful. So I
Let's
appreciate you for
talk,
sharing.
let's
Huh?
talk about stunning and beautiful crown. I would love to hear more.
Yeah, this is my hijab. This is my trigger of like you are regal, you are like you own your presence, like don't be afraid to stand out, don't be afraid to disrupt and challenge other people's whatever I bring up for them because when I was young, and I'm sure you experienced this, I think a lot of melanated people do we trigger people just through our melanin or our internal power or our grit, or I don't know what it is. I can't even put my finger on it, but there's something that people react to within us. It's a soul thing. It's a history thing. It's a generational thing that I don't have words for. And so at a certain point, I had to stop trying to understand it and stop trying to protect other people from it or shrink myself or make myself less threatening and just step into it and own it and embody it in a loving, graceful way. And it's amazing. And I feel this with Islamics as well. When you really step into it and you own it, like it's just so impactful, right? It's inspiring.
You also have an opportunity to weed out people who aren't for you, right?
Part,
Uh,
this part.
so I've led the actually that chocolate mindfulness event that I was mentioning with almost 1,000 people, right?
Yeah.
There were so many aha moments and impacts that were shared, and then one person said it was a business
Yeah.
oriented group, so everybody was a business owner, and when I said, what was it like to eat chocolate mindfully? There was just this look on his face, and I'm not going to read into it, but it looked to me like he was trying to see, if I would be uncomfortable or how far he could push. And he was just like, oh, chocolate mindfulness reminds me of tantric sex and, going on. And I'm just thinking like, I'm a social worker. I talk about, relationships and intimacy with clients. So this
Yes.
doesn't this
Right.
doesn't bother me, but
Yes.
he just kind of sat there and paused and looked to see how I'd respond. And the pregnant pause is something that we learn in social work, right? So I let it sit for him
Yes.
to think about his words first in front of all of his peers and the
Yeah.
way that he went further, not just what I'm
Yeah.
sharing. And so then just to say, thank you for, how
Yeah.
it landed for you and continue on being fully unbothered. That is one of
Yeah.
the main words that I keep in my, close to my heart is to be unbothered because
Mm.
people will test you, they will try you, they will just see if you can be rattled. And I don't give people that power.
Exactly. I love it. And it's such a great way for us to start rounding out our conversation here. I didn't even have to prompt you for that, so thanks. That's such like beautiful words of wisdom. What I would love to do as we start to bring this episode to a close is I would love to give you an opportunity for those people that are listening and who are like resonating with you and vibing with you and loving everything that you're up to in the world. Share a little invitation for maybe something that you have coming up and how they can connect with you.
Every single day, you have an opportunity to either go, go, go and crash or to pause and take some time for you. So I can only share things that I do for myself. And this year, in 2026, I have committed to alone time, just me time, dates with me, either before the sun rises or after the sun goes down to just have me time. So that would be my one gift or ask or however you receive it, right? For anybody listening to carve out that time for yourself. If you have to put it in your calendar, I highly recommend that, right? I have it in my calendar, otherwise it would not happen. I would find that the end of the day was here and I would just say, okay, tomorrow, right? And tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow would keep happening. So if you have something that you've done in the past that works for you as far as taking that pause and having me time, go back, try it on again for size. If you've grown out of it or if it doesn't work for you any longer, I recommend the My Retreat app, which is a free daily 2-minute meditation you
Oh,
pair with chocolate as your tangible reward.
beautiful. Thank you so much for that. That's amazing. And if someone wanted to connect with you, where do you hang out digitally?
Well, in the My Retreat app,
Well, there you go. Okay.
every Wednesday at
Yeah.
2 o'clock, we have a
Ah,
free live session for 20
yeah.
minutes, and every
Okay.
Thursday at 8, 20 minutes.
Wonderful.
And
Okay.
yeah,
I love this. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you, the viewers and listeners. This has been an amazing exchange of energy and wisdom and presence. And so I just want to thank you for that. And for those of you listening, please subscribe, share this episode or any of the episodes that you've loved. And most importantly, go ahead and leave us a comment. We love questions. We want to interact with you. This is a conversation, not just a presentation. And so I would love to welcome you into the community. You can follow Living Room Wisdom on Instagram or me, Patrina Wisdom. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week right here on Living Room Wisdom, where your story is your glory. Have a great day. Thanks again, Melissa.